Hello everyone. In the last video lecture of database management system, we have discussed about the create table commands and specifying the schema and different types of attributes and its types, so called as data types of the attributes of schema what you want to create as so called as tables. So with that, let me continue with this today's video lecture, where we will be discussing about how to specify different constraints in order to create tables. So constraints in turn mean that they are the rules which we need to follow while inserting the values to a table. It's like defining how the table has to be presented to the end users is what is called as constraints. Say I want to restrict a user to enter only a USN to a field, or I want to restrict a person to enter a salary to a field. So all this kind of things can be specified through the domain, that is the data type, as we seen in the last video lecture. But today, apart from that, let us see some additional constraint saying that if you want to restrict a person to enter a salary not above 1 lakh, okay, so this kind of constraints can be given, and restricting the user not to give duplicate values and not to give null values. So this all kind of constraints can be explicitly not implicitly, explicitly given onto the definition of a table. So anyhow, we are already familiar with the create table command. To create a table, we use the syntax create table and the table name, and followed by the attribute names within the parenthesis. We have seen that in the last video lecture. So in this lecture, we will continue with that to specify the constraints of it. So there are n number of constraints. We will see attribute constraint, attribute default, how to specify a default value if in case user has left out while inserting a value. Key and referential integrity constraint. In this case, the primary key constraint and the foreign key constraint can be incorporated with the help of the create table command itself. So we will see that with an example. So I have the example on the board right now. I have a table called as employee been to be created. So create table employee. Okay, we have I have taken set of attributes, that is the SSN I have taken, first name I have taken, last name I have taken, and department number I have taken. Only few attributes I have taken. So I have just written the schema diagram to take you through the interpretation of what is constraint I am putting on these tables. Okay, just to understand it. So there is an employee table with SSN as the key attribute, last name and first name and department number. So there are some more attributes still. Salary, we have birth date, we have address, we have super SSN, we have so and so are there. And we will see those examples in the next coming video lectures. In this case, I have a department table also with department number. Now, as you can see, I have underlined something here. This indicates, as you all know in the schema diagram, it's a primary key. You have already seen in the ER diagram concepts there that primary key will be underlined in the schema diagram, which indicates that is the unique attribute which identifies the each tuple in the employee table. In case of department table, the department number has been underlined, which uniquely identifies each department in the department table. So if, for example, SSN, if I take 1, 2, it will go on like this. Department number I will take 100 and 101 will go on like this. And this department number should be present here, 100, 100. This indicates that employee number 1 is working in department number 100, 2 is working in department number 100. Now what is this department number is meant to be? As you all know, this is the foreign key here, because if an attribute of another table, which is a primary key in that table, if it has been used here, that is called as a foreign key, right? So on that case, department number is the foreign key for employee table because it was a primary key in the department table. It has been specified here in order to give a relationship between an employee and a department. So as you all know, in the ER diagram we have written, right, employee works for department. So in order to give this relation, we need to have this foreign key approach has been used here, as you all know. So department number is a foreign key here. Now apart from this, I can see a primary key constraint here, I can see a referential constraint here. So apart from this, I can have some additional constraints being specified. Let us see that now. So hope you have an insight now what I am going to explain now, the relation between employee and department and some constraints on it through the create table command itself. Okay, so create table employee is a syntax as we have seen in the last video lecture. Then I have the SSN integer, that is the social security number of an employee, it's of int type, then I have given primary key. So now this is called as what? The key constraint. So this way, by specifying primary key, no two tuples, in the sense I cannot give again 1. If I try to give 1 again after giving this, it will throw me an error saying that you can't enter the duplicate values for the key attribute. Okay. So in order to incorporate this type of constraint, that is not allowing to enter the duplicate values to this particular attribute called as SSN, is called as what? Key constraint in this case. So in order to do that, make sure you are going to give this SSN int primary key. Good. Next, I have a comma. I have continued the create table command syntax. So fname varchar of 10. So it's a variable character. As you know, variable character is what? See, followed by that not null have given. What is this not null as a keyword, as in case of specifying a constraint in the create table doing? It says that whenever you inserting a values to the employee table, okay, you cannot leave this empty. What you can't leave empty? You are not supposed to leave the last name of an employee should not be left out empty. So that is the constraint I have given here. So automatically, if I say while inserting, if I just insert 1 and 100 without inserting the value of the last name, it will throw me an error saying that it is a not null constraint has been incorporated. You need to insert some values to the last name. So that is what is the not null constraint. So in case of this is the attribute constraint what I am giving here. Okay. So fname varchar of 10 not null, where I am going to specify the constraint of not specifying empty values to this last name or first name. So first name is not null as well as last name is also not null. So both are given as not null. So this is the constraint for lname and this is the constraint for fname, and this is the domain, nothing but the data type. Okay. Next, department number int. So as we have department number here, same thing has to be specified while creating itself. So department number int not null. Again I am saying that department number is also a not null constraint, means somehow the value of department number should be given to the department number attribute of employee table. Clarified? Good. So on that case, again it is followed, still I have not yet given the comma there, default 1. Department number int not null default 1. So what it says is, if in case, okay, they have taken it as 1, let me take it as 100. Okay. What it says is, if in case while inserting the values into the database, into a table called as employee, if you have missed the value of department number while inserting it, it will fill with the default value 100. So it is saying not null, but default is there. In this previous case, only not null was there, you need to insert some values, but in this case, without any information to you, it will be inserting 100 by default as a value which you have not entered during the insert command. Okay, that we will discuss next. So 100 is the default value which will be placed here. Okay, say for example, I will place 1 Arun and I enter. I don't specify department number. It inserts 100 in place of that. Okay. So this is the another type of attribute default constraints in case of specifying with the create table command. Okay. So department number int not null default 100 indicates if a department number has been not inserted, should be a not null value, so insert what? 100. Okay, comma. Now this department number attribute what I have specified in an employee table, it's a foreign key actually, as you all know, because it's a primary key in department table. The department number attribute in employee table gives me a relationship between an employee and a department. Now how do you specify that explicitly, that the department number whatever you have is a foreign key in this table and it should take the values, whatever the values is present in the primary key table only, that you need to incorporate yourself by using a create table command. So to do that, what we have here is syntax is like this: foreign key, use the keyword foreign key after all the attributes, comma foreign key. Which attribute you are making foreign key in this table? the same representation. You can have a different representation. You can have DNUMB here also, or else you can have DNUM also. No problem. I've just taken the same representation. What is there in the primary key? It need not be the same. We can have a different representation also. That's fine. So foreign key D number references, again a keyword, department table. Okay. So department table D number. I have just written DEP and I have written the whole department here, but it is what it has to be here. So as it says, the foreign key in this table is department number, referring to which table? Department tables, which attribute? Department number. So this is being referred by this. Okay, so this I need to explicitly incorporate. Now what will happen is, when I do this in the create table command, in case of while inserting the values, if you try to insert a value called as 200 here, it will throw you an error. Why? Because 200 is not present in the primary key table, which you cannot insert in case of employee table. Okay, so to do that we have this foreign key department number references department number on. Okay, we have something else, I'll come back to that. So now in this case of example, you need to understand how to write a foreign key constraint. So you might have more than one foreign key also. For all the foreign keys in your table, you need to specify the same syntax. The first attribute has to come like this, then the foreign key has to be specified next to it. Foreign key department number references department table department number. Okay, next there is one more constraint of cascading, that is on delete and on update, two possible cases. Yeah. So what? Let me first explain what is on delete. Then we'll go back for on update. Okay. Either you can perform on delete cascade, or on delete you can have set null is also possible. Okay. What is this on delete or on update? Let us learn that first. Then we can go on cascade or set null or set default is also possible in case of specifying on delete. What is on delete? In the sense, department number is a foreign key, as you all know, right? In which table? In employee table. Now on delete cascade, the meaning of this is, on delete says that whenever the department number which is being referred to a referenced table, if that is being deleted, automatically perform the same operation here also. I am saying, I'll give an example to make you understand that. See here, employee, in employee table, this is the foreign key, as you know, and I have inserted 100 100 and I have 101, something like this. Okay, so now if in case if I delete 101 from the department table, I'll delete 101 from the department table, because 101 is the primary key in department table. Now when this is being deleted, having this reference in the foreign key table is no of use, because it is saying department number 101, some employees working, but there is no department 101 existing after deletion, right? So automatically when you delete something in the primary key table, if that value is used in the foreign key table, perform the cascading operation. Cascading what? Whatever you do here should be same thing replicated here. Okay, say for example, I have given on delete cascade. So what I have done? I have done the deletion, do the deletion here also. So automatically the whole row number 3 will be deleted from which table? The foreign key table called as employee in this example. In case of this example, the whole row will be deleted. Okay, and the next thing is, you can have on delete set null also. Okay, say for example 101 will be deleted, and in this place of I can have a null value been set. Okay, so on delete cascade, on delete set null. So you can set a null value if you have deleted the primary key value, or else if in case if you have an update operation, say for example I had 101 here and I have 101 as a foreign key here, I have updated this to 102. the same value what was in the row number 2 in case of primary key table. If I update this 102 to 101 to 102, so on update I can do cascade, either I can do set null, both is possible. Either I can update the primary key value, and the same thing has to be replicated in the foreign key table, in the sense you use cascade. Normally we use cascade for it, or else we can have set null, or also we can have set default is also possible. Set default is also possible. So normally on case of update we use cascade, because when it is 102, I want this to be changed to 102. Okay, so these are the three things, that is on delete, on update. So on delete we can perform cascade, set null, set default. On update you can go for cascade or set null, set certain times, as well as set default certain times. Okay, so this is to be specified only in the foreign key table. Okay, anyhow we will be practicing this in your practicals. They will have a clear insight of what exactly I am telling you. Okay, so these are some of the basic constraint in case of while creating a table, that is your primary key constraint, the referential integrity constraint, and the not null constraint. Okay, there is one more constraint called as check constraint. What is this check constraint? Say for example, in the department table, okay, while creating this department table, I want to restrict that the department number what you insert should be only between 1 to 20. Okay, say in the case of an organization there are only 20 departments, not more than that. Means if a user is inserting department number 21, which is not should be accepted, if you want to restrict the user from the values, the kind of values to be inserted, you have domains, but within the range of values, means you need to use one more constraint called as check constraint. Okay, how to specify that? As you can see, it is on the board here, I have written it. It should be specified in your department table, as remaining all remains the same, that is in case of this department number, you will be having the syntax remains the same, that is create table department. Okay, parenthesis open, then department number int not null. Okay, then use a constraint name called as check, constraint name called as check constraint, followed by the its condition. What I am specifying as a condition here is department number should be greater than 0, what you are going to insert for this in the while the values, and department number should be less than 21. So it should be between 1 to 20. You can insert the values from 1 to 20 for this attribute of department table. So you can restrict what type of values, also with the range of values what you need to insert for an attribute with the help of this check as well as the domains what we just saw. Okay, so these are the few constraints of create table command in order to create a table for a given schema. Fine. Next we will see with this insert, delete and update statements in SQL. So just now we saw with the constraints of a create table command. So once you use those basic constraints in order to create the table definition, after that I can insert the values. So there were some constraints which has to be taken care while performing the insert operation. That is what I was speaking about, inserting. So this is how you insert the values into your tables. It's called as a database for the backend. So insert into EMP values is a syntax been taken. So insert into is a keyword followed by the table name. If it is a table called as employee, it will be employee table. If it's a table called as department, it will be a department value here. Okay, so insert into employee values followed by the set of values I have given here. So we have this 1, Arun, Kumar and 100. Now there are certain rules you need to follow while performing the insert operation, that in what way the create table command was specified, in the same order you need to also insert the values in case of insert command also. Let me go back to this create table command what we have just seen. We had the first one attribute was SSN, right, the table EMP. Then we had this fname, the create table command, you just rewind and see, it will be the fname first, then the lname, then we had this department number. This was a schema diagram for the create table definition, and this was the primary key, this was a foreign key, this two had not null constraint, and we had a check constraint for the department number also in case of inserting the values. Now when you say about insert command, insert into employee, the number of attributes should match, the number of values you are giving here should match with the number of attributes present in employee table. There are 4 attributes, and the order should also matter. It will matter, saying that first I have SSN, you need to start with an SSN, okay, then first name, then last name, then the department number, and all the character, variable character, date, time, all those would be given in the single or the double quotes you are supposed to insert, whereas for integers and you can leave it out as it is, so without any single quotes. So 1 comma within single quotes Arun, comma within single quotes Kumar, comma 100. So once I do this and if I enter semicolon and enter, automatically the values will be inserted here. That is 1, the f name is Arun, the last name is Kumar, and department number is 100. So this way the value will be inserted into this table called as employee. Now this is the table. Now I will keep on populating the data with this table by using the multiple times the insert command. So I have this insert command, I can again write in one more insert command, the same syntax, insert into employee values, the second row, that is 2, okay. Now this all are same, all these are same. Now when I do this, so automatically the values get inserted, but make sure when you are doing this, what are all constraint we have given, no, that has to be followed. Let us take a one by one example. What if I given 1 again, it's a violation of key constraint. So if I try to insert 1 here, it will violate me that you have violated the key constraint. Good. Now if I had left out any of this name, any one if I have left out, it will violate the not null constraint. So you cannot leave out any of this. So it's something I have taken here. And 100. It might be possible of violating the foreign key constraint also if in case if you are inserting some value called as 200 here, which is not present in your department table as a primary key, then again it's a violation because we have given the foreign key constraint. Likewise, what is my intention to make you clear here is, whatever the constraint we had given while using the create table command should be withstand through this insert command. The basic syntax you need to follow is the order, the first thing. The next thing is all the constraint what you just previously which was explained to you all should be satisfied while inserting the values. The primary key constraint, the foreign key constraint, might be the not null constraint, the check constraint. So everything should be whole, then only the values can be inserted into the table. Okay, cool. Now there are many ways you can specify this insert command. This is the one way, and the basic way is insert into EMP values. There's other way where you can specify these values, that is by explicitly specifying the attribute names also we can specify. Say for example, insert into employee SSN fname lname d number, okay, followed by values, that is 1 Arun, then Kumar. So this is another way you can specify your so called the insert command, wherein which you need to say manually specify the attribute names what you want in case of this. So insert into EMP SSN, that is the first attribute. So all the attribute names of your employee table can be explicitly specified in the insert command also after the table name. Okay, values. So it says that it maps automatically to this SSN. You insert this F name to Arun, last name with Kumar, and department number with 100. But when do we have a better hand of using this kind of syntaxes? When you want to fill only set of attributes and leave out set of attributes without filling the values. In only those scenarios you have a usefulness of this type of syntax. Say for example, I don't want to insert department numbers to employees initially. I want to leave out it. So automatically what I can do, I can leave out this department number and I can leave out this value. So automatically it says that department number was not specified, fill with null. But can I fill with null here? No. Why? Because I have given not null constraint for department number. If not null was not given while create table command, you would have left out some attributes. Okay. If you are not using this syntax and just leaving this 100 here, it is not possible. It will throw you an error. It says that parameter, number of arguments are not matching with the create table command. Hope you are getting it. If you don't have this syntax, the previous syntax, if you have only insert into table name, values, and this values, and if you are leaving out some of the values for some of the attributes, it will throw you an error. But if you don't want to insert some values for some of the attribute, means use this syntax, that is employee attribute names only those which you want, followed by the values, and only for those attributes which are specified here you can insert the values. In that scenario you can do it only in the one case where you don't have any special constraint for those attributes which you are leaving out. If that is the case, then automatically you can use it. Okay, so this is all about the insert command. Now we will see the example of a delete command which can be used with your tuples, what we have just inserted by using the insert command. In order to have a manipulation of the data in the database, we can use this delete command there. So the generalized syntax of delete command is delete from table name where condition. Okay, so you can write a single line also by giving space between each of the keywords followed by the attribute names. That is also fine. You can have a separate line like this also, it's also fine. Make sure you have a semicolon at the end. That's it. Delete from table name where the condition. So an example, for example, if I want to delete this particular tuple or a row from this table called as employee, the syntax for it is delete from employee, the table name, okay, where SSN equal to 2. So this is the syntax for deleting automatically. Now if I again display this table, this particular row will be deleted. Okay, how to display a table we will see next. Okay, so delete from EMP where SSN equal to 2 deletes this whole row. Okay, so this is the delete command syntax. Now is there any mandatory fields in case of delete command? As we case of insert, all were mandatory. Insert into table name values should be given in case of having a values to the table. While deleting the values from the tables, say if you do this delete from employee, and if you forget to give this where clause, and if you press semicolon enter, automatically what it will do is it will delete the whole tuples, means all the rows will be deleted from the employee table. Because what was where doing here? Where was giving a row condition, which for example it might be multiple rows also. Say for example if I say delete from employee where department number equal to 10, so all department number 10 rows will be deleted. So the condition either matches single row or multiple rows, but if you don't want all the rows together, if you want to delete it, then you use delete command without a where condition. Okay, this is what we'll do with respect to a delete command. Okay. Okay, next what we have is the update command. So just now we saw the delete command. The same way, if for the manipulation purpose of a given table, you can use this update command also. So what does this update command will do is it will try to modify the existing data in the table. So this generalized syntax of update command is as follows. So update the table name, set against the keyword for by a value, means which attribute value which you want to change to a new value, that has to be specified in the set clause. followed by the where clause, that is a condition, means in which row you want to set this value on which table. Okay, this is a generalized syntax of update command. A case of an example here, let me see, where I want just to change this department number which I have inserted as 100 to 101 for the employee number 2. Normally in update command we will try to take a reference of a primary key, because updation happens uniquely either to one row or one or two rows, hardly. So on those cases, make sure you are going to end up in choosing the one key which has a unique value, so that I can have a unique change in only in that row particularly. Okay, so if that is the condition, which case which I specified now, the syntax for it is update employee, the table name, set department number equal to the new number, you want to change this 100 to 101, where SSN equals to 2. So where was SSN equal to 2? In the second row the SSN is 2. So this particular row has to be updated to 101. So this is the update command which we will be using in order to update the table values. Okay, and in case of this, if you don't use where clause, again the same condition of what we seen in the previous example, if I just leave out this where clause, automatically if I just do this update employee set department number equal to 101 without any condition, so all the rows will be changed to 101. This also happens in case of update command. Okay, and the condition need not be only one condition, you can have multiple conditions. Say where SSN, I have taken primary key. If you have not taken primary key, such as where if name equals then in our case is Abhi, and you can use this logical operator and operator, and okay, L name equals but. Means what I am trying to say is we can use this AND operator in order to have multiple conditions to be matched in a particular row to have this value being set. That is also possible. Same thing applies for your delete also. In delete from delete, in case of where condition for a delete command, also we can have multiple conditions. Say for example, if I want to delete this, and if I am giving this again delete from employee where first name equal to Abhi and the last name equal to but. This is also possible in case of delete. So we can have multiple conditions being matched either in case of update or in case of delete. So these are some of the generalized what you can call as a layout of what delete command, update command and insert command which we will be using. Now I will move on to the basic retrieval clauses. Okay, that is, see, whenever I do a insert, whenever I do a delete, whenever I do a update, to see what has changed in the database, you need to have some command for it, right? So that is what is the basic retrieval command. So the basic retrieval command, the syntax what it takes is, let us see that now. It is select from where. Select from and where. So this is the basic retrieval command what has been thought of being used in case of while writing a queries. So what is this select clause, from clause and where clause is doing? Select clause takes the attribute names, which are attribute you want to be displayed as in case of output. In case of from clause, we will take the table names. Okay, and finally in case of where clause, okay, we have the condition. We have the condition being specified. Now the basic retrieval query which we are going to use is that is, in simpler words, that select star, that is asterisk, from EMP semicolon enter. Select star from table name. Now what it is saying, this is a basic retrieval query what we will be seeing in the laboratory also, in order to display the contents of a table. So select star, star indicates all the attributes, star indicates all the attributes from which table? Employee. If you execute this, you will get this as output. If these are only the values we have inserted, means this will be the output for you. When you execute, select star from employee. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, star indicates all the attributes. If you want few attributes of which are present in case of your table, means you can do that also. Select SSN and F name from EMP. If you do this, so automatically the output what I can expect is SSN and F name 1 2 Arun and Abhi. So this will be the output when you execute this. Okay, so this is the basic retrieval queries in order to have. So please have an insight of what I am saying right now. Select specifies as the attributes, from specifies as the table name. Now where does this where comes into picture now? Let us see some examples of it. Okay, say for example, let me put some more values where so I am saying select star from employee. Star indicates, as you all know, all the attributes of employee table, where department number equal to 100, means which and all tuples or rows having department number of 100, only those rows will be selected as output. So in the case of my example, I have only 2 rows been inserted for making the example easier, and the output will be only 1 row. So you will be only getting this particular row as output with the attribute names. So this is where you use your where clause in order to specify the condition which eliminates the rows, the tuples. Which tuples only you want can be retained by using this where condition. Okay, that is what the benefit of using this, the where. Now moving on with this, where and all a select retrieval query can be, we call this as a query right now because it is where we start with the queries, where we start with select from and where. As and when it goes on, we have group by, having and order by, still 3 more clauses out there. I'll get into that part later. But there are still more things you can perform in case of this select retrieval query. We have substring and pattern matching. We can do joining in case of where clause. We can do aliasing. Okay, all this we'll learn now. Now we'll see an example of how we can use this multiple tables in order to query a result. Say for example, display the names of employees who work in department name as ISC. Okay, so I want the names of employees. Say first name and last name both has to be displayed of employees who work only in IS department. If that is the query being asked, how to write a query for this? Because department name they are giving. What is the input for that? ISC, which is present in which table? Department table. And they are expecting us to give the names of whom? Employees, which is in employee table. Now if this is the kind of scenario, then the first thing you need to look for is, are these 2 tables are related? How do you see the relation? With the help of a primary key and a foreign key table. So let us see that. Of course you can make out easily that they have been related because we are seeing this example throughout this class right now. So how to start with writing a query is, see if you understand this basic terminologies properly, that is select from and where, and the way it can be used, any complicated queries can be written easily by you all. Okay, so select what I want to select, the first name and the last name. Okay, so I'll take you what exactly happening internally when we write a query with two tables. Okay, so from so once we have this employee and department two tables being specified, you need to join these two tables. Now to join two tables, first thing you need to see what is common across these two attributes. So these two tables, that is department number and department number in department table and department number in employee table. So specify that employee dot department number equals department dot department number. Still the query is still there because we have one more condition called as department name as ISE. If I do this much, every time when you perform a join operation, what will happen is I have a big table called as EMP department is being created at the back end. Okay, that is a big table of all the attributes, that is SSN, okay, F name, then L name, D number, again D number of department table, then D name, and the values will be 1, Arun, Kumar, number 100, IS, okay, 2, Abhi, and we have the last name and the department number and the department name. So likewise, see, this is very important to you all to have an actual insight of what exactly a table will process, okay, whenever a query is being given. So still the query is not completed for the question we have asked, that is we want the names of first name and last name of people who are working in IS department, but I have a partial query written where this is how it has been interpreted. Two tables will be joined and made one table when you specify a join condition like this with a common attribute with a primary key and foreign key. Now in this table, now I'll continue with the query, and you're supposed to use this because I want both the conditions to be true, and department name equals within the single quotes IS. Okay, so I want a employee first name and last name who is working in IS department. Now first thing I look for is, see, this is the table what I have got intermediately. I look for the department name wherever I have the row IS. So I have IS here, only one row, I have two rows, so it can make it easily, only one row is IS. So in that particular row, what they are asking for, first name and last name, is Arun and Kumar. So the output what you will get is at the final F name, L name, and we will be having the F name as Arun and the last name as Kumar. So this is the final output what you will be getting in case of after running this query. So I'll repeat again what is the question was given in the cases. Find out the first name and last name of employees who is working in IS department. First name and last name in employee table, department name in department table. How can you relate this? Look for primary key, foreign key. If it is there, join those two tables. Okay. Now let me explain one more part of it here itself, wherein which something called as aliasing. What is this aliasing is, sometimes when the table name is very large enough, where in case of while specifying the constraints or joining the two tables, or when you have two attributes with a common representation, at that time you can use this aliasing. Okay. So for example, see, I have department number here, and in the department table also we have department as the DNO itself, right? So in that case what I can do is, I can just say employee department D. So what I am telling is, take employee as E, department as D. Then instead of employee, I can specify E dot department number equal to D dot department number and D name equal to IS. Or you can also have D dot D name equal to IS, because D name belongs to department table. If it is not duplicated, if it is not required actually. If it is duplicated, it is required. If it is not duplicated, no need of specifying the aliasing for where attributes. So this is all about the aliasing. Aliasing means giving a shorter names to the table names, where I'll be using for here in the case only one join operation. We will be having complicated queries. We have multiple join operations. At that times the aliasing plays a major role. Okay, so this is all about case of select and joining the tables. Okay, now we will see this tables as sets. Normally we take a table as a multi-set because it has different attributes, with some attributes having duplicate values. Say for example, I had a salary attribute for employees. Okay, say salary would be some 20,000 for this employee and 20,000 for this employee. So the salary might have a duplicate value. So sometimes it might be a multi-set operation, wherein which to perform a set operation in case of a given values. In that case, you can have this keyword called as distinct being used in order to eliminate the duplicates. Say for example, if I do a query select salary, okay, from EMP, if I do this and if I try to display the output, it will be the salary 20,000 twice. For salary. Now in order to eliminate a duplicate in a given set of attributes, if in that case you can use this distinct keyword. As you can see, the same query has been written with the help of a distinct keyword. Select distinct salary from EMP. So automatically what happens? The output what I will be expecting is this set operation. Okay, so this is possible. In case of this distinct, we have set all also. We can have a select all to have all. Just to select with the case of values, you can have just the distinct keyword being specified. With this, we have some more set operations which we will be seeing next with the complicated queries being given. But let me just brief out what and all can be used in writing a query. After this, we have substring pattern matching, that also I will cover. Based on that, we can start writing some queries one by one by writing the question, and I will write down the answer with the tables being displayed. Now union, except as well as intersect, same as union operation you have which you have learned, and the intersection called as intersect, and the except called as the your subtraction, so subtracting one relation from the another relation. This is a set operation. Hope you all know the meaning between a set and a multi-set, where we can have a certain set of values being repeated, whereas a set of unique set is a set of unique values as we have in primary key. But when you take a database, we can have some kind of duplicate values being specified there. So that is how you eliminate in the output by using a distinct keyword in the select calls. Okay, only the output can eliminate the distinct clause. Now, why do we use this set operations in relational databases? Sometimes it is required that while performing some for example, I will say display the names of employees and the names of supervisors who work in the department. So supervisors are also employees, and employees already have specified it. So both are names has to be taken. That case I need to union both two, that is take the names of employees, take the names of supervisors, union it, display the output, because supervisor is also an employee and employee is also an employee, as usual it is. So in those scenarios, we will go with this union operation. We will come across that, this also we will see an example. And in case of this, let us see the example first and understand this union, intersection, and except. Majority of you already are familiar with this. Say for example, I want to union this two table. whenever you want to apply this set operations, one thing you need to monitor here is that the possible attribute types and the possible domain of it. R is a table, S is a table having attribute AA, that is one attribute on either sides. That is very important. The count of number of attributes while applying the union should be matching. One attribute, one attribute. The next thing is the type of it. What type A is and what type this particular A is. If both are same type, then I can apply the union operator or the intersect or the except. So this is the two conditions you need to follow while using the set operations in case of relational tables, relational database. So when I say R union S, it's as it is. So you'll get a big table A1, A2 in this case, then A3, sorry, A1, case of that we have A2, A2, A3, A4, A5. Okay, so as it is seen, it will be union with the both. If it case of it is present in both the tables, it would have been taken off. Now coming to the intersection. So what is intersection of this A2, A1? That's it, right? So the intersection speaks about what is common in two tables, that is R as well as S. In the case of the union operator, it just takes the all the attributes from R, all the attributes from S has been taken out. If in case of if it is present in both the tables, it will be taken off, where in which one table it will be presented. And this is the intersection, as you all know. Next, when I say R minus S, R minus is the case except. I am speaking about the except. So on that case, what happens? What is there in R after subtracting S from it? Say for example, we have A1 here, remove A1 from R. Okay, A2 here, remove A2 from R. And there is one more A2, but we can't remove it because there is only one A2 which we can remove, A4 and A3. So the output will be A2, A3. The output for A2, A3 after applying the except R minus S. In the meanwhile, if I do S minus R, it will be A1 get cancelled, A2 get cancelled, we have A4 and A5 in case of S minus R. So this way this except called as subtraction works with respect to given any left hand minus right hand. Whatever is left out after removing with whatever is present in S, whatever is common in both R and S will be taken from the left hand side as an output to the R minus S, R except S. Okay, these are certain set of set operations which can be used while querying the database, union, except as well as intersect. So we'll come across that with some more examples as and when required. So this is the basic operation of it. Okay. The next topic is the substring pattern matching and arithmetic operators. Let me discuss this pattern matching first. So we have this like as a keyword being used in order to do a pattern matching. So as you all know, pattern matching is that there is a main string and there is a substring being given, where we need to look for that substring in the main string and display the details of it. So what we'll be doing here is that if in some case you might be required the part of address and I want people all from Mysore in the employee table, means I can you can write a query for that. So whereas a substring is Mysore and I'm not bothered about which area they belong in, the home address and doesn't matters to me. Only I'm looking for people who are from Mysore who is working in my organization, means I can use this substring pattern matching operator called as like operator. Let us see an example. Like can come with the modulus operator as well as the underscore. We'll see the difference between those two. Okay. Now select star from employee where address, so assume that there is an also attribute called as address here, and with some address, say it as Mysore, sorry, I guess it is not viewable. Okay, so I'll just write on down here. Address, I mean attribute called as address, some number, Mysore, some number, Mysore. Okay, so and I'll take Bangalore for this. Okay, hope it can be seen now. Yes. So now say I want all the employees who is working in Mysore. I know Mysore, but I don't know actual address of them, each and every one. So I can write select star from employee where address like, starting with this modulus indicates that any character can start with any number of characters or any number of letters, words, but somewhere you find it the word Mysore followed by the pin code, some other details. So again the modulus indicates some more characters or some more words being specified after Mysore. If there is a Mysore as a substring in a given address as a whole string, the main string in the address attribute, as I have indicated with the dots here, in that is the case, then this is the substring pattern matching being used. So automatically all the employees who are working in Mysore, irrespective of area or the door number, will be taken as an output for this. Okay. So what does this different indicate here is, sometimes you might exactly match with a certain number of characters. Okay, so the underscore indicates one single character, whereas modulus indicates one or more characters. Say for example, I want all the employees who are exactly taking salaries of say 20,000, something like that, or who exactly who are born in this particular month. Okay, there is assume that there is one more attribute called as birth date, date of birth. Okay, so the values have been filled, and I want people who are all born in 1997, something like this. Okay, 1998. So normally we have the address format, right? Sorry, the date format, that is 1997 followed by the month followed by the day. 1998, something like this will be there. Now I want the employees who are born in only in 1997. If I say, at that case I can give an exact match of number of characters present. So in that case, where birth date like within the single quotes 997, okay, then we have the slash underscore, then 2 underscores for the month, sorry, the month, yes, one more underscore for the slash, and 2 more for the day. So like this I can give a proper date format wherein which the day, it is starting with year, of course we know that, followed by the actual number of count underscores and the slash and the date as well as the month can be specified. So if you know that something is exactly to be matched with followed by exactly this number of characters, then you can use this underscores. And if you don't know how many characters are present after my substring, then you can use modulus. So this is the substring pattern matching operator, which is called as like operator, being used for querying the database. Likewise, as we have just seen with respect to this modulus and underscore, say for example, sometimes in address there might be a modulus as a value, I am taking an underscore as a value in a address itself. In address itself I have an underscore or a modulus as a value in it, not as a special character in case of this. So how to do it? We need to use the escape character for that. What is an escape character is, say whenever you are specifying a string, you can specify its special, say for example, I am saying that there should be an underscore after 997. Okay, what you will do at that time, 997 slash this Okay, then so this says that this is not a substring pattern matching in case of whatever we just discussed. It is the actual character itself. There is an underscore as a character after 997 I am saying, so that you need to specify here, because once you do this, automatically at the end specify the escape character as what? Slash. So automatically this will make you understand that slash is an escape character wherever you find before the special characters being used for like operator, that is underscore as well as modulus operator can be used with that. Okay, so this is what all about your substring pattern matching. So we have learned the like operator with underscore and modulus, and the escape character can be used in order to remove the special property of it. Special property of this is what? One or more character. Exactly one character. If this itself is as a value, if you want, use slash and specify at the last escape slash at the last you need to specify. Okay. Next we can write some arithmetic operators. Say the addition, subtraction, multiplication and division can be used with while writing the queries with the help of an attributes also. Say you can have this. Okay, but make sure you use with those type of attributes where it is compatible. Say for example, I can use the addition, subtraction with the attributes which are of integer type, which I can perform the operations of floating point type, whichever possible way, and I can use asterisk and division with that case also. So it should be the type compatible attributes types can be used with this arithmetic operator. Say for example, I'll ask you to give an increment of 10% to all the employees who are in employee table. So what can we do in that cases? So we can write a query, select, okay, I want an increment of salary with 10%. So what we can do is, the one way of writing is by using a select clause, other way by using update command. We'll see the select clause now. So select salary is what? Salary plus salary into 0.1 as salary from EMP. So as you can see, I have used some arithmetic operators in this query here. I am trying to update a salary by 10% of actual salary what is being paid right now. So I have taken the 10% of the salary. Okay, the 10% right now is 20,000. I have taken the 10% of it and added with the actual salary. What is actual salary right now? 20,000. So 20,000 plus the 10% of it has been added, and it will be incremented in the salary. Means whatever the output you get, not in the actual table. If you want to update in the actual table, you need to use update command. But right now what I am doing, I am generating a output view. So what will be saying? I am saying, see, salary plus salary star 0.1 as salary, means I get an output with the name as salary. Okay, so I have updated with how much? The 10%. 10% of 20,000 has been generated and added to 20,000, and it will be updated here as well as here. Okay, so this is what the arithmetic operators which can be used in writing the queries. Same way we can use a division as well as the subtraction whenever it is required with the type compatible, because salary was an integer type or a real type, so I was able to use it in the query there. Now there is one more operator called as between operator, which can be used in your where clause, where the conditions can be specified. Say I'll say display the details of employees who are taking salary between 20 to 30,000. Okay, because I have a set of values now, because people might take some salary 20, 25, 28, 29 like that. I can't specify all the conditions by using AND clause, where salary equal to 20,000 and salary equal to 29,000 and salary equal to 25. I can't specify all the possible conditions in the where clause. Okay, at that case what you can do, you can have a range of values being given using a between. So how to write the between clause? We'll see that. Select star from employee where salary So this is the query being written in case of the between operator. That is, what I am saying here is select star from employee where salary between 20,000 and 30,000. So automatically all the employees who are fetching a salary between 20 to 30,000 will be retrieved and displayed as an output. Means I have given star, you can have the SSN in the case. So only the SSN will be displayed as an output here. SSN of only those employees who are having salary between 20 to 30. You take between, it will take 20 as well as the 30 with respect to the values. And likewise we can have multiple conditions also. Say salary between 20,000 and 30,000. You can have this within the braces for this, and you can put and you can continue with the conditions. And department number equal to 100. Means I only want to check for department number 100 for this purpose. So you can have all multiple conditions by using the AND operator. Okay. So this is how you use between operator when you have set of values for a single attribute. What is the attribute here? Salary. I want a salary with set of values. I can't check for each and every person of how much say salary equal to, I can't write a query like this, right? Say salary equal to 20,000, then salary equal to and salary equals to 21,000. I can't write each and every possible value of salary. It will be a very big query. So we can overcome this type of task by using a between operator. Okay. So there are still more concepts to be discussed. We'll see that in the next class. Thank you all.